Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if your world literally turned upside down? Today, we're going to dive into the truly disorienting experience of vertigo. And we're going to see it through the eyes of someone you'd think would be totally immune to it. A doctor, an expert on dizziness, who one day woke up and suddenly became the patient.
Just try to picture that for a second. This is how his day began, not with an alarm clock, but with the entire world in a violent, nonstop spin. It's a feeling of pure, relentless motion, even when you know you're perfectly still. It's completely overwhelming.
And here's the real kicker. The person going through this wasn't just any patient. He was a neurootologist. This is a top specialist whose entire career is about diagnosing these exact kinds of disorders. The expert had literally become the subject of his own expertise. Talk about irony.
All right, so let's go right back to that moment. Section 1, the onset. This is where a perfectly normal morning just completely spirals into a physical nightmare.
Okay, so even in this state of total crisis, his doctor brain just clicks on. While he's feeling this overwhelming dizziness and nausea, he's also taking a kind of mental inventory. He notices what's not there. No headache, no hearing loss. And that's huge. It meant it probably wasn't a stroke or something like Meniere's disease. He was diagnosing himself in real time.
So based on everything he was feeling, he landed on a diagnosis pretty much instantly. Right vestibular neuritis. But here's the thing. His knowledge gave him a name for what was happening, but it offered him absolutely no shield against the chaos. He knew exactly what was wrong, but he was completely powerless to stop the spinning. And that brings us to the crisis. Because knowing what was happening didn't prepare him for just how bad it was about to get. The whole situation escalated and fast, pushing his body to its absolute limit.
His internal balance system was completely haywire. So the simple act of standing up, something we do a million times without even thinking about it, was suddenly impossible. With standing totally out of the question, he had to crawl. Just imagine that for a second. A respected doctor forced to crawl across his own floor, just fighting against a world that refused to hold still. But even that didn't last long. After just a couple of movements, the vertigo got so bad that he just sank to the ground, completely defeated. The nausea was just too much. He couldn't walk, not even with help. The only thing left to do was to call for an ambulance.
So what on earth was actually happening inside his body to cause this total system meltdown? Let's get into the diagnosis, which is really like an electrical storm inside your inner ear. So, vestibular neuritis is basically an inflammation of this super important nerve. You see, this nerve is the main communication line between your inner ear's balance system and your brain. When it gets inflamed, that clear signal breaks down into just static, sending these awful, faulty messages to your brain that you're spinning when you're not.
The best way to think about it is like this. Your body has this amazing internal gyroscope that's always telling your brain where your head is in space. With neuritis, that gyroscope just breaks. It's screaming spinning. We're spinning at your brain. But your eyes are saying, nope, we're totally still. Your brain just can't handle that conflict, and the result is this terrible, debilitating vertigo. But this story isn't just about the storm. It's about the calm that comes after, and more importantly, how you get there. The recovery is actually an incredible testament to how amazing our brains are at adapting and relearning. Now, this right here is the key. Your first instinct when the whole world is spinning is probably to lie perfectly still and just wait for it to stop, right? But it turns out the science shows the exact opposite is what you need. The road to recovery is literally paved with movement. You have to actively challenge that broken system to force your brain to recalibrate itself. As a specialist, our doctor knew this was his ticket back to a normal life. So he didn't wait around. He started his rehab immediately. And it sounds so simple, right? Walk, move your head, focus on a target. But every single one of those actions is like a powerful command to your brain. It's telling it, hey, those spinning signals you're getting are wrong. Ignore them. Let's find a new way to balance. And would you look at these results? This timeline is just astonishing. On day 3, he's taking his very first steps with some help. Just a week after that, he's feeling so much better. And within 3 weeks, he actually felt normal again. This wasn't some slow, passive healing process. This was a supercharged, active recovery, and it was all driven by those exercises. And it's not just about how he felt. The hard data backs it all up. 4 days into this whole ordeal, tests showed his inner ear balance function was at less than half of what it should be.
But after just 2 months of this rehab, it had recovered to over 90%. That is a near perfect result. His brain had effectively rewired itself.
So, what's the big lesson here? What can we all take away from this really dramatic journey? From being the expert to being the patient and then back again. I think the most powerful lesson is this. Healing from something like this isn't about waiting around. Recovery is an active process. When you do vestibular rehabilitation, you're giving your brain a workout, and that speeds everything up. You're helping it relearn how to see the world correctly. It's really the fast track back to living your life. And there's even more good news. For the vast majority of people, this terrifying experience is a one-time thing. Studies show the chance of it happening again is incredibly low. So once you've recovered, you can feel pretty confident that that storm has passed for good. You know, in the end, this doctor's story is so much more than just a medical report. It's a really profound story of resilience. And it makes you wonder, right? If the brain can relearn something as basic as balance after a total system failure, what other limits can it overcome? It just goes to show you how incredible and adaptable our brains really are.